What's happening, people? It's your man, Jay Flex, the wrestler, coming at you with another voiceover video. And if you know me, I love doing these kind of videos because this is when I, really lay it all out, for a lot of people and listeners, whoever is listening to this podcast and video. And tonight is going to be a very interesting one because the topic that I'm going to discuss is actually another topic that a subscriber of mine wanted me to cover, just like my last video that I did earlier today. But I'm not going to call the subscriber's name out because it's not anybody's business. But he asked me a question about, how can you tell when a woman has orgasm, or how can you tell when a woman has finished? And actually, this subscriber asked me this maybe a week ago, and I purposely didn't really get around to it off gate because I really wanted to. I was contemplating whether or not to do this video on here, okay? But he paid me for it because I gave him my Cash App. And anytime somebody's going to ask me to do a video on this kind of stuff, you need to look at my Cash App, or you need to ask me what my Cash App is or PayPal, and I will be glad to do it. And even me doing this video, I'm going to get in depth to some degree or extent, but I'm not going to get in depth totally, or I'm going to try not to, because this is something for when I make my Patreon site eventually, if I even ever do one, right? But this is a very interesting topic because the truth of the matter is that a lot of men, and I'm not sure how old he is, this guy who asked me to make a video about it. I'm assuming he's in his 20s because I think I've seen his social media. I think he's around in his 20s or whatever, but it's a great question either way. You have people in their 30s, men in their 30s or 40s or 50s who have, believe it or not, never made a woman orgasm or finish, or either they have never really known whether the woman was faking or not. Okay. This is a very important topic because the woman's anatomy and body is much more complex than a man's body. Okay. Especially when it comes to finishing, and a woman can easily fake an orgasm. There's no doubt about that. And I'm going to try to make this video, and the terms that I'm trying to use, I'm trying not to use terms that are going to make this video get demonetized. So I'm going to try to talk in politically correct terms, man, but we'll see how this goes anyways, right? This is a topic that needs to be talked about. There are different kinds of orgasms that women have. And from my experience with talking to women, or me having relations with women, okay? So there are different kinds of orgasms that women have. And the truth of the matter is this, there are some women, and when you are in sexual relations with or intimate with a woman, women can have orgasms by, rolling their eyes in the back of their head, or they are extreme. They're having tremors. They're experiencing what it looks like to be hell. I mean, even an outer body experience. I mean, and this is why I tell dudes all the time, I'm like, pay attention to the woman's body language. Okay. This is especially if you're married and you have a girlfriend, a significant other who you want to be with for the rest of your life. Sex is very important. And, to where you can see that woman having pleasure, and she is in the moment. Her eyes are never really opening in some cases, and her legs are shaking, her toes are curling, her toes are shaking. She's scratching you. Sometimes she might even start biting your neck. She's scratching your arms, your neck, your chest. She's she's that into you, and you're stimulating her and arousing her in a way that is extremely pleasing to her, to where she can't even control what she's doing. That's a form of those are forms of orgasms. Okay. Now, however, even if a woman is doing all of those things, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's orgasming. Okay. Which means that she can still fake it. Okay. Now, when you can really feel the orgasm, because a woman can tell when a man orgasms, when we orgasm, or, because it's visible, right? 9 times out of 10, and they can also feel it. And there are times where a man can also feel a woman orgasming. All right. So, and believe it or not, for any woman who's listening to this video, there are a lot of men who have never experienced this feeling. Okay. So they don't know. You have a clinch, which is the vaginal orgasm, the clear vaginal orgasm, which is around the pelvic area. And, you can feel a clench, as if a pulsating clench around you. And basically, imagine somebody squeezing your arm, and they're squeezing it, constantly clawing and squeezing at it. It is the same thing. It's a clench, and you can feel it, especially if they say, that, it's happening. You can feel it. Okay. And that's how you know they're not faking. All right. Because it's actually an involuntary feeling, or involuntary response that they have. It's uncontrollable. They can't even control it. It just happens. Right. It's kind of, to a degree, without their own doing. And it's a byproduct of them being sexually aroused and stimulated. And like I said, believe it or not, and let's hope that this video doesn't get demonetized, but, it's something that a lot of women, there's some women who really, they've experienced it, but they don't even know what it is. Right. So, you have some women who are not sexually, familiar with their own body, and whether it be for religious reasons, spiritual reasons, or whatever, or just fear. There are some women who truly, they may have experienced an orgasm once or twice, but they didn't know what it was. So, it's very key to know your body sexually, especially for a woman, because women's bodies are very complex. And that's why there are a lot of men who have never made their woman orgasm. There's actually a study. I'm going to try to find it and put it on here. Even if it's like a week after I post this video, I'm going to find a study, because I used to kind of study this kind of stuff a lot. My dad taught me a lot about it, about human anatomy and health and women's bodies. So that's kind of why I have a pretty good understanding of it. But I believe it's like 30 to 75% of women have faked an orgasm once or twice, at least, bare minimum once or twice. 30 to 75% of women have faked finishing or an orgasm. Okay. So no wonder why a lot of men have never made a woman orgasm. And women, understand this. Whoever as a woman is listening to this, you have to please do not fake these orgasms, because you're not doing the man any favors. You're giving him false hope, and it's just not good in the long run. And it's also, especially for women who are very into being aroused sexually, and women who want to experience an orgasm, right? It's not doing him any favors, because he doesn't know what he's doing. Also, the last one I want to mention, and there's so many other ones I'm not going to mention in this video, but the last one I want to mention is, some women experience, excretion of water, coming out, a squirt, so some women experience different things, and most men have never experienced that. Okay. Because every woman has different type of orgasms and different finishes. So it's deep. It's very deep. And you really can only understand through experience. Truthfully, you can read as many books as you want as a man, listen to as many podcasts, even listen to this podcast or this video, but you really can only experience it when you go on the battlefield. Okay. You actually experience life and you experience with women safely, obviously, right? I encourage that a lot, but, grown men gonna do what they want to do, but, doing it as safe as possible. Right. So, you can only understand through experience. But those are different kinds of orgasms that women have. Now, the biggest thing I want to mention in this video, hopefully you have still listened to this video, especially for my male subscribers, before you even tackle and try to experience these orgasms that I have mentioned. Okay. You need to have a certain level of sexual confidence and competence and understanding about yourself. Okay. You need to understand your own sexual nature first. That is the biggest thing and I encourage anybody who is a new subscriber to this channel to look at my older videos. I came out with a video, and you could probably call this a part 2 to the videos that I've done in the past, but specifically the video that I made about sexual competence being a mental for men. I made that video maybe about maybe a month and a half ago, or maybe even 2 months ago. I made a video about sexual competence and how important it is. You have to be confident and competent in yourself sexually as a man. Okay. That comes with knowing who you are, working on yourself, improving yourself constantly day in and day out, knowing what turns on the woman that you're with or other types of women, being confident in yourself, not comparing yourself to adult films. I talk about that a lot, not comparing yourself to adult films and, males that are on adult films, because what happens is you have a skewed perspective on what women actually like. And that can ruin your psyche. That can ruin that makes you have anxiety. And then you're not able to get excited or perform because you're so, anxious. And instead of, understanding what you have to offer and understanding how to have a certain degree of sexual competence and confidence. Okay. They both matter and they both tie into each other. Right. So these are things that you need to really tackle first before you even really deal with a woman. Right. Because once you get a grip on that, then it's easier to be able to please a woman, especially somebody who you're with long-term, engaged, girlfriend, wife. These are things that matter because, again, like I said, sex does matter in marriages and relationships. Again, my friend that's of Muslim religion, she literally said, and I quote, a woman of Muslim religion can divorce their husband because she has never been pleased sexually or orgasmed. It is that deep in certain indigenous cultures and religions. So that's how this is a very deep topic it's not talked about. It's not talked about in a lot of sectors, especially on YouTube, mainstream media, which is so weird to me. as perverted as mainstream media has become, music, entertainment, it's still weird on other platforms to talk about it. But it's very important to talk about because relationships and marriages fail because of sexual miscommunication, is what I like to call it. But either way, you have to, as a man, I'm going to finish with this. As a man, you have to be sexually competent and confident mentally, before even dealing with a woman. And you have to be and understand who you are sexually and be in touch with your own sexual nature to the point where you don't get intimidated by a woman's sexual nature, or whoever you're with. Because believe it or not, women want to be pleased sexually. Okay. Obviously, it's not the only component to a happy relationship or marriage, but it is a big component. Okay. So hopefully this helps somebody, and I hope this helped you, my loyal subscriber who asked me about this. Hopefully you tune in and it helps, man. So, yeah. Anyways, it's your man, Jay Flex. And I'm out. Y'all be blessed. Peace.